I don't know about you, but when I started first to put my music out, the killer thing for me that left me paralyzed was cover art, like giving it something to represent it. As a creative individual, I had never really dived into photography or graphic design or anything in that way of things. And in the early stages, when I first started putting my music out, apart from anything that had gone over to a label, yeah, I definitely fluffed it. I made some pretty dire mistakes. And it's because I simply didn't know what I was doing. A lot of it came down to the fact that the tools were pretty expensive, had a steep learning curve, and I had no idea what to do with them or how to really create anything like that. So my options were pay someone to design my logos, and pay someone to create this, and pay someone to do this piece of artwork, pay someone to use their photography, and then pay someone else to bring all those things together and give me a piece of artwork that I can use. Times have changed considerably, and while I've taken a lot of time to learn and create a lot of things, a lot of the modern tools out there now are making that process even easier and even better to work with. And what I want to dive into today is helping you guys create a piece of artwork to go with your music that you're really happy with. Now, if you're looking to distribute your music to the likes of iTunes and Spotify, there's some key things that you need to be aware of. You can't have any kind of brand placement. You can't have anything particularly gross as it's defined. You need to provide a high quality large file, 3000 by 3000 pixel diameter or larger, and you can't contain things like prices or barcodes or anything that could lead someone off into another product, like a QR code for example. Outside of that, it's pretty much down to your creative freedom, and you might be thinking, it's the digital age, I'm just going onto these platforms, I'm not producing a beautiful piece of vinyl, it doesn't matter too much. I would argue the opposite. It's become more important than ever to utilize your artwork and make it something that catches the eye, because you need to stand out now in an infinite scroll of new music. But you also need to have something that can work in a banner, work in being a vertical piece of artwork, work in being a thumbnail. So today I've partnered up with Fotor.com, a huge suite of tools that's going to allow us to get everything done all in one place. Now, for the idea I'm having for this, the very first thing I want to do is I'm going to have a little use of the AI image generator. So from the home page right here, we've got AI tools, or we've got, you might want to try AI image generator. And each time we do something in here, it opens up a new page for the most part and a new tool set. It's kind of bringing all different tool sets together in one place for us. So we're going to open that up. We can very simply here give a text prompt, choose our style of what we want to do. Now, this is going to be part of the series where we've been focusing on basically like a face of some description, masks, and like emotions around the mask kind of thing. And I wanted to this kind of be the end of it. And what I'm thinking is kind of like a messy 90s room, the mask being like the focus of it. And we're going to see if we can get something like that going on. And what we might do is might have to create a couple of different assets using this and then bring them together in the other suite. So what we're going to do is something like messy room 90s technology, something like that. As we can see here, it's got a little leaf with a -2. That is going to take away my credits, which I've got up here. You can see I've got 103 credits remaining on my account. So we hit generate. Now at the minute I've got this set 1 to 1, so it's going to give us a square image, right? What I often do is if I've got something that's working as like a background, I'll do 16 by 9, and then I've got thumbnail and banner images as well, and I can then crop that down to become a square image for the actual cover. So it gives me multiple assets that way. Okay, so this one on the left has got the right kind of idea that I'm after, right? So what we could do from here is we could remix it. So we're going to hit remix and see if we can start building that into what we're after, or get something a bit closer to it. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go and change the style, and we're going to do photo and cinematic. And this here on the right now is more what I was after. So I like a lot of what's going on. It represents quite well with what I'm doing, like these big subs, the like 90s monitors, the like fuzzy technology of things. The mask itself I'm not too into, so I like that overall image. What I want to do, I'm going to take the edit here, I'm going to do the AI replace, and with the AI replace I can draw over the mask like so. Let's say, so this is what we could do. I could color this in, try colouring it the same as the background, and then we could potentially create the other asset that we want to sit in. and use this as kind of a background image. Okay, so it's kind of put like a hanging basket in there and that, and yeah, that somewhat works. We're getting somewhere with that image, so we're going to apply that. Okay, so the image is kind of lacking some detail, so we're going to use the AI upscaler. It's upscaling it by 2 times now, which should enhance a bunch of the detail. We'll see how it goes. Cool, so we've got our slider to see what it's done. We can see, yeah, it sharpens it up a hell of a lot, right? Answers a lot of the details there. Nice. I actually like the chair from the older one, all the detail being added from the previous. Interesting. So we might just roll with that for now. Okay, so still inside the Fotor editor here, we've got all our tools up. Good. Now, I'm just going to go back to the main page by clicking up here. In search tools up here, we can do something like album cover, and that's going to give us a whole set of presets, so we've got text and things that we can be ready to overlay, which is kind of useful, right? And so if I was to take something like this, by the way, I'm on a pro plan here. You see some have a little diamond up in the top. You need to be on a pro plan to open those. The ones that don't though, you can just be a completely free user and just grab those. So there's still hundreds of ways you can do this completely for free. I like this though. I want to see how this bit of text works. So as you can see, we've now got access to the photo, access to the different bits of text as well, if we want to work with those. There's a few other options in here that we might want to use. Like this is quite a nice idea as well, with that applied text option there. So let's say I don't like the image, I can click on the overall image, highlight it, literally backspace it, and it will go away. And all these other parts here can be gone as well. And I kind of like this making like a Polaroid image thing that they've got going on. So I'm going to get rid of that image. I want to make this a little bit larger, like bring it out like so, narrow it in a touch. I want to make it so I've just got a relatively slim border like that. It's ever so slightly out of place. Now I'm going to change the text here. I'm just going to use the word emotional here. And obviously that doesn't fit, so we need to highlight the whole thing. Up here we can change our text font. I'm going to bring that down so it fits all within a single line across the bottom, but also so it sits within that border that we've just created. We've got that, and I'm going to angle that so it's straighter, also so I can just get it to drip ever so slightly over that border, that little bit of overlap like so. Now I want this to have like a little bit of shadow behind it, create 2 versions of it, right? And I'm going to take the rear version like so, highlight that, go up here and just change my text to black, and there we go. So now I can grab that one, and if you want to easily move something around, you can press Command and you back bracket, and that will let you move layers around like that. So now I can put this to just where I want it to be, where it's just going to be a shadow, and now send it back behind. There we go. So I've got that bit of shadow layer just there. Now the other way we can do this is highlight the red layer, go into effects, and we have the option to place shadow like that, but it does like this kind of big blurred shadow all the way across look, which I'm not so much of a fan of. There is advanced settings, but it gives me the fill color and things here. So we go shadow, take the blur amount, okay, there you go, take the blur amount down a little bit, distance, bring that closer. That's quite nice. Literally like the most base blur amount, distance still pretty close, and change the angle to kind of match the layer we've already made. I want to bring the transparency even lower so it's really subtle. There we go. So that's really nice there. So we've got emotional right across the bottom. It's actually like dripping out of the frame almost. So I'm going to take both the layers here and just bring them up a little. So if they're really close like I've done here and you're struggling to grab them, zoom it out and bring it back. So mouse wheel will let you zoom in if you want to get some more fine grabbing options as well. Actually, yeah, for the minute here, I'm going to take this text. I want this to match here. So we get our nice snap lines here. And all this is going to say is it's been emotional, and matching text, but in black, a lot smaller. Emotional is what we want to be the big highlight thing here. All right, so next we need to bring our image in that we have just generated. So let's bring that in. If we go to uploads, we can see we've currently got the 2 that we made, and we can bring our nice detailed image in right here and just make sure it's sitting behind all the elements we want it to be sitting behind. So we're going to line this up in a way that we're happy with it. I want to adjust it ever so slightly. When we've clicked on the When we've clicked on the image here, we can crop it down to where we want. I want to create like this kind of border edge with the image, kind of overlaying it a little bit, feeling something like that. But I'm also feeling like I want to take this white bit and bring that back a touch like that, and then maybe bring it up like so. Text at the bottom obviously doesn't work in black now, so we're going to have a look at just changing that and putting it into white. I feel it needs to be a fair bit larger, so we're taking it from 65 to 80 and just kind of readjust that. And we're not going to need all of this, so we can just highlight that, delete it away. I don't like the crookedness, so I'm just going to undo that and it will snap back to 0 for me. We can just use the highlights there to find the dead center point, really figure out what we're going to do with this. I'm just going to move that away. I do just kind of like the border, so I'm just going to leave this off over here for the time being. We could come back and grab that at any time. I'm going to stretch this image back out and just give ourselves a finer black border instead. And just get that in the center again, like so. It out again. I'm liking that. Now it tells me that emotional is in the middle, but it definitely isn't from what I can see, right? It's way more over this edge because of the L, so I'm going to bring that over. There we go. Much prefer that. And like we did before, we'll send that to the back just so we can move our black version over as well. Just keep that ever so slightly out of line, drop it back in like that. Now our overall image, I need my logo in at the top, and we're going to work that in as well. So we're going to go into uploads and add my logo in. So where it says upload, I'm just going to click this down, go into computer, and I'll go to where I've got that stored. I feel like we're going to need the white version of the PNG here, so that's what we're going to pop in. That loads up on here as an asset. You can just click on it to bring it in. Now I've got this set so that I can usually bring it to the top corner of any project, drag it out, and it'll be in the right positioning. I can just do that. Quite a lot of clutter in the image I created, so we're going to try using the shadow just to give that a bit of separation. What we need to do is go into upload again, and this time I'm going to grab the black version of my logo. I'm going to drop that in as well, and we can just bring these up here like I did before, drag it all the way out. Like I said, my logos are set so that I can just do that and they're going to be in the right place. Boom. So we're just going to put that in there. Now we want to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit and off to, I think, that sort of angle. It's going to give us the best sort of look for what we're after. We drop that layer behind. Now that alone breaks it apart a little bit, but within our effects, what we can do is Gaussian blur it. And we can just bring a little bit of that blur in. Look, it really gives us a load of separation around it now because it's blurring the whole image, but it's a transparent image, so it just helps separate it out just a little bit. That's not looking too bad. With emotional here, I think I want to make that text pop out a little bit more, so I'm going to change the red to something even brighter, I think. So we're going to the color chart picker, and we bring this right up here to like a really bright red, so it sticks out a lot, like so. That's pretty nice. Now that we've built that template out as well, what we can also do in here, because we've got the option to do this, if we click on the photo, we can do change image. We can load any image we want, which means at any point we can go back into the AI image creator, create other images and ideas, and just keep swapping them out and dropping them in, which I like where we've gone with this, but I think we can do better. So that is what I'm going to have a look at doing. For the time being, I'm going to download this. We're going to call it Being Emotional Cover 1. And remember we set the size wise, you want 3000 by 3000 really to be your size. The size adjustment is here in Pro. I can do it 1.5. That gives me 24 by 24. I can go 2. That gives me 3.2, 3.2, which is more than we would need, but we'll do the job, and that will download that for us. So we've got that copy of it. Something else we could do just to help the text stand out a little bit. Let's go into elements. Just grab ourselves something like a plain shape like so. Just narrow it down, zoom ourselves in a bit. Just get it so the text just kind of like just peeks out just a little bit like that. Bring it right into the start again. So it peeks out just the tiniest bit. So it's just sort of sitting behind it like so. And make it obviously whatever color you like, but I find this kind of instance black works really well. Just sit it behind the text like that. It doesn't like block in anything, it just helps it sit in there a little bit, just having that black bar. And you can go into the transparency, for example, bring the transparency down a bit. If you've got it so it's only at like 20%, you don't really notice it in the image so much, but it just helps it stand out. You can just see it there. And we can take that a step further as well. If we go shadow, do a really blurry shadow behind it, like so, have it at distance 0. You can see that just kind of smears the edges of it ever so slightly. What we should do, you can't put it up here on the yellow. We do that, it kind of just blurs the edges of it a bit. Take the angle down to 0 as well. Give it a bit of distance so that you can see it. Just blurring the edges of it a bit. We can have sort of its bin right down there, which will really help you out in doing that. Now, something nice to tie it all together can be a filter. Now, if we go in here and highlight everything like so, we can do Command and G. That groups everything together. We can now move it all as one rather than having to worry about all the individual parts, right? Highlighted all those things that you can now see there's just one huge element. Still, we want to take our overall image there, apply filters. We've got a whole host of like filter options. We can like darken it down a bit, change the intensity of that said filter to how we want it to look overall. Just kind of bring everything together. Can make it all that black and white vibe if we liked. It's just kind of nice, right? I could use that black and white to just like dull the tones down and make it kind of a sepia, which I'm kind of liking that idea in a way. I like this because it really enhances the shadow elements of it. What is that? I like that. Oh, it's really like, it's like it's a dimly lit spot now. So I'm going to roll with that overall. So now we can just hit download again. Make sure we've got an applicable size. I'm going to go for the max size in here. I don't need a transparent background. I want high resolution PNG, and we're going to call it Bin Emotional Cover 2, so we know what variation we're on, and hit download, and there we go. And there we have it. We've put something together in only a few minutes that's really got our design idea and everything put together, and we've even tweaked it to a design that we really like. Will I use this as the end release design? I don't know, maybe. I might continue tweaking it. I feel like I want to overlay something on top of that chair, maybe put a mask and fascia in there as well to keep everything in. I might then look at blurring the background a little bit to get some nice separation. We just keep developing it, but that project sits there online now and is there forever, and I can leave it, utilize it in another project, whatever I need to do. Something that was completely impossible beforehand. And now with the AI integration, the ability to adjust just small parts of the image, it's really just left up to your creativity and your ideas. I hope it's been a helpful video for you. Make sure you check out Fotor.com because it is completely free to use for the most base features, and then many of the pro templates and AI generation, etc. will cost after that free trial, but it's a measly cost of a couple of dollars a month if you find it really useful. So thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Do take care.